Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Welcome also to our guests. We're happy to have you here. Today we will continue our senior speaker series. Next week, as you know, we will have a few days off and we will not have chapel. I know you are busy and hard at work, especially as the midterm approaches on October the 15th. This rain will pass later today and we should have some beautiful fall weather behind it. We're going to start with Frankie Pisco today, and when Hailey Suller is done, we will be dismissed. Frankie.
Hi Sheffield, I'm Frankie Pisco. I always imagined I would be standing up here one day telling you guys about how amazing my senior year is going. But the pressure of dorm life, school, afternoon activities, all while applying to colleges, has made me feel betrayed by the world's presentation of what senior year should be. Senior year is nothing like High School Musical 3. I know in just a few more months, the weight of what's next for my class will be lifted off of our shoulders, and we will be repping our college merch and smoking cigars for graduation. But we're not there yet. Since I have such an early chapel slot, and senioritis is nowhere near kicked in, I've decided to read a collection of poetry written by a number of authors about coming of age and adolescence. These poems convey aspects of how difficult growing up and moving on can truly be. Contradiction. So full of deceit, my life's a contradiction. One day it's reality, the next one it's fiction. I'm lost without reason, because I made it so. To increase the complexity and force myself to grow. I'm so full of life today, but tomorrow it dies. I'm so full of optimism, but a pessimist cries. The two extremes of who I am are what I hate to be. I'm so scared to waste it, then scared to run free. Can I live it day by day, or do I even dare? I'm so full of wonder now, but tomorrow I won't care. Storm Campbell. Reflecting on the past. I have often wondered about my life, my future, my present, my past. Sometimes I think of my dreams, and if I'll ever have them in my grasp. I ponder about the choices I've made, how I could have fixed my mistakes. I sometimes wish that I had been wiser and had tried to lower the stakes. I often recall all of the times that I didn't listen to the facts, and from those actions hurt myself, and how I acted like a spoiled brat. All of my choices that I've made still affect me to this day. The problems that I've created can't ever be blown away. Although I'm still very young, I now see life with a clearer view, and now I can make my future brighter and make it into something new. Wallace Minton. Through the eyes of a teenager, every day passes, reminding me of lessons to be learned. Opportunities pass me by, show me things to be earned. I don't know life as an adult sees it, only as a child and teen. I can only guess what life is meant to be based on what I've seen. Today I learned of love and the pain it may be bear. You can never know a person's truth behind the masks they wear. I don't know the meaning of love or why it's never true. I'm unsure of so many things these days. I know less than I thought I knew. I need to stand up for others and to myself as well. When I stare into the mirror, I see things I wish I could deny, a fear of judgment and confrontation. If everybody has to go through torment and through pain, if they understand the hurt, that's another game. If they can feel the burden of their fears and know their cost of showing their tears, if they know how it feels to have a lover or a friend stab their backs with knives, why are they so cruel to say these are the best days of our lives? My takeaway from these poems is our struggles are universal. No matter where we are from or who we are, conflict, heartbreak, insecurities, they will all always be there. Even though I'm spending so much of my fall filling out the Common App and power walking with iced coffee from class to class, I'm so thankful for what I have right here. When friends and family ask about Suffield, I always say, the good days are really good, the bad days are really bad. You work the hardest you ever have in your life, and as the time flies by, you look back at who you've become with nothing but happiness. Thank you for listening.
Just give me a moment, I have to set up. Hi, Suffield. My name is Joanne Tusani Brown, and I'm a four-year senior from the Bronx, New York. It was my grandparents' dream to come to the United States and set the foundation for the dreams of my mother and my uncle and their children to succeed. Raise your hand if you've ever had a dream. Same here. Raise your hand if you've ever achieved a dream. Trick question. Dreams cannot be achieved, only goals can. Alright, back on track. So today I'm going to talk about dreams. Not one of my weird dreams where Suffield Academy turns into a campground and it makes us look Mulan and Survival of the Fittest and just Hunger Games. And not the nightmare that I had at the age of 11 where chickens were attacking me on my bedroom floor, which ultimately led to my current fear of most birds. But a dream that I had last Saturday. I'm gonna be honest, I woke up in tears. It was one of those dreams. But here it goes. This is straight from my notes app, so excuse the typos. What's up, journal? This is my second time trying to write this all down, because I just deleted everything by accident. Turns out there's no undo button on notes, which is whack as hell. Anyway, I just woke up from a terrible dream. Maybe it's because I didn't have my bedtime tea, I don't know. But basically, I was on my college campus, and it didn't feel at home. Everyone had settled in, and they seemed like they fit right in. There was this one guy who was talking in gibberish. I don't know, he just wasn't speaking a real language, and he was talking, but everyone seemed to understand him except me. But some Suffield people came and dropped me off, and we played a game of basketball. I don't even know why we played basketball, but we played ball, and then they said goodbye. And it seemed like they'd be okay without me. It seemed like they gorilla glued shut the chapter of their lives that I was a part of, and it didn't matter at all. It seemed like they were perfectly fine without me, and that they no longer needed me. I guess this is what a parent feels like. I'm no one's mother, but to guide people and watch them grow into themselves and then leave and move on with life feels wrong. I don't know, I just hope when I read this for chapel I don't cry. That'd be mad weird. I wanted to share this dream out of all of them because that is a chapter that all the seniors you see on the stage, beside you, and napping in the union are currently in. Life is unpredictable, but for the past 4 years, I think I found my second home in a random small town in Connecticut. I built bonds here that I pray will last a lifetime, but I've also made bonds that I know will not. The people that I walk by in the union and don't always say hi to will always exist, but to think that one day I'm not going to see them around breaks my heart. The deep talk Saturday night in the quad, the power walking around CBS, and the parties by the solo bar, I realize I'll never have that back. Amidst the hustle and bustle of our Suffield lives, I genuinely feel that I haven't always made the most of Suffield. And I worry that I don't have enough time to make some new bonds or check in on the ones who have truly made my Suffield experience worth it. I sometimes feel like I haven't done enough here, or been enough. Say I if you've ever felt like you weren't enough. I. Same Suffield, same. Today, I'm going to reveal to you the key to never doubting your self-worth. My bad. Every moment spent not being yourself or trying to fit into the majority is time wasted. Why live a life that isn't your own? By settling and never going after the best version of yourself, you're depriving yourself of living a genuinely fulfilling life. The key to knowing and embracing your self-worth is doing everything that you possibly can to be your best self. During 2020, we all watched a lot of movies and shows. The movie that always comes to mind when someone rants to me or breaks down is the movie Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith's movie. Towards the end of the movie, my main man, Mr. Smith, said, maybe happiness is something that we can only pursue, and maybe we can actually never have it. My main man, Will, was wrong. Let me sort out this entanglement real quick. We can 100% have happiness, but the state of being happy will always be temporary. For example, when there's fish tacos in the dining hall, I'm happy until the taco is done. And when I get above a 65 on an AP Gov quiz, I'm happy for weeks, probably even months. This is what makes Suffield home, the little moments. Home is where you find happiness. Make time for the ones you love, even when it feels like time is running out. Look around, just take a second. Every person in this room alone has a different story. You may not think that there's anything interesting or special about you, but as I read this aloud, you're all having different reactions, flashbacks, and trains of thought. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a gift. When I came to Suffield, I didn't expect to meet someone from the Bronx who was a killer squash player, or become best friends with a girl from Korea with the swagger of a New Yorker, lie in bed. Or meet someone with the last name Wiener, who puts everyone before himself. Thanks for everything you do. It doesn't go unnoticed. I also didn't expect to room with one of the kindest, most genuine human beings who casually puts crushed red peppers on almost anything. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Clementine Seria, Matsuri Martinez, and Adriana Davis. Thank you all for having my back and changing my life in the best way possible. I'll never forget them. And to my mother and father, thank you for spending hours coming to and from New York. I've been through a lot here, and I'm glad that the distance has somehow brought us all closer together. Before Suffield, I was always so busy, putting everything aside to get into an independent school, which means we didn't have a lot of time to spend together. And when we did, I wasn't very present. But between last year and this year, I don't know what I'd do without you. I'm glad we got some time back. Y también quiero decir gracias a mis abuelos para todo lo que ustedes hacen por nosotros y esta familia. Y te quiero mucho a ustedes dos. Gracias. And to my little sister, Bella, aka Lil Weezy, you should come to Suffield. I think you'd love it here. Stay groovy, Suffield. KASA.
Exaggerated saturation, and pretty much all the things you can do to make a really bright, colorful picture. When I was in 7th grade, I went out and took a picture I will now describe to you. The picture was of a bunch of kites tied together corner to corner above a street. The sky was a bright, vivid blue, and the kites were a pale, rosy pink. The surrounding buildings that came up no higher than 30 feet were a beige tan color, and the cobblestone street was gray, lined with black guardrails. In this picture, I was happy, joyful, and all around excited. After 8th grade, I went on a trip to Maine, where I learned better how to use my camera and do basic edits of my pictures with the Photos app on my computer. While I was there, the main focus I had was to have fun with my camera and see where it could get me. Again, the pictures were still very bright and exciting, but now after about a year, they had a more dark feel to them. One of the pictures that I took was of a flower. It was one single flower. The flower was a flaming orange lined with yellow on the petals and was surrounded by vivid green leaves, and at the center was a similar yellow rimmed with orange. Although this picture was so joyful, my style had changed. The flower was beautiful and delicate, but I focused on the contrast, the difference between the flower and the leaves, and I focused on the dew sitting on top of each little petal. In this picture that seemed so unemotional, I shared my feelings. My joy of leaving my last school and coming to Suffield Academy, the nerves I felt for leaving home for the first time like this, and going to a school where I really didn't know anyone. Right before my entrance into Suffield Academy, my grandfather passed away. Although I was really sad, I never grasped how much it affected me until about 2 years later. When I came to Suffield about a month after his funeral, I was so nervous and excited to be at this new school. When I was introduced into Photo 1, I was told we would be using film cameras. Using film completely changed my perspective on photography, and how I had previously been so focused on the colors of the subject rather than the subject itself. After we went back to digital cameras, I then noticed the most difference in my style. I completely changed my focus from outdoor shooting to indoor studio. When we were given a freedom to do a studio project, I decided to do dramatic color. In that picture, I had my subject sitting completely symmetrical in the frame, seeing only her shoulders and her head. The backdrop was black, but I had a red and blue light on either side of her face, showing a contrast and depth. In this picture, I showed how color shines through the darkness and how sadness can affect you later on. The last time period I will talk about is last year. Last year was difficult for all of us, but last winter was really difficult for me. The picture I will talk about is a drastic change from any of my previous images. In this image, I had a subject stretching. The subject was contoured in such a dramatic way you could see every bone and muscle. The contrast was so sharp and it was shot on a digital camera in black and white. This picture was so far from where I had begun. I went from bright, distracting pictures to a detailed picture that left a lot up to interpretation. In addition to that, I had been feeling so trapped at school. The winter is already hard, but last year I really just chose to stay in my room. This picture to me was a way of expression, to show people who I am. To this day, photography is a way for me to illustrate my thoughts and emotions, and, kind of just helps express yourself. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy my chapel speech.
Hi, my name is Callie Woodworth, and I'm a four-year senior from Saratoga Springs, New York.
Hi, my name is Lily Foster. I'm a three-year senior from Southlake, Texas. I came to Southlake my sophomore year, and that is when I met Callie. We both quickly found out we have lots in common and became close friends with drastically different stories.
I'm adopted from Ethiopia. My mom at a young age traveled to Armenia with my grandmother, who was doing service work. While there, she was at a hospital and saw many children sitting waiting to receive medical attention. She later found out that those children had eventually passed away. It was then she decided to adopt. She feels strongly that there are kids that need homes, and she knew she could provide a home for a child one day in the future. My mom and dad decided to file adoption papers, and shortly after, they received a photo of a baby girl at random, which was me. My parents learned a lot about African culture when adopting from Ethiopia. They stayed 2 weeks in Ethiopia to get to know me and soon traveled back to the U.S. My adoption story is very unclear. I was left outside a police station and then brought to the adoption agency. Being born with so little detail about my birth, I have a lot of questions I can't get the answer to.
I was adopted in Mineral Wells, Texas. My parents decided to adopt due to being unable to have a child of their own. They adopted my brother Luke 3 years before I was born. My mom and dad had recently told their adoption agency that they were willing to adopt again, and less than a week later they got a call about me. The agency asked my parents if they were interested, and only a month or so later, I was adopted. My biological mother, Sonia, flew to Texas from Colorado to give birth. She was 19 years old, and none of her family knew of her pregnancy. She made the decision for herself that adoption would be the best thing for me. Sonia knew that my parents would give me the best life possible. She knew her and my father were far too young to raise a baby on their own and put me before themselves.
While growing up, I was lucky to live in Saratoga Springs, having two awesome parents who've always been in my corner, and a younger brother who is also adopted and is one of the most caring humans I have ever met. Saratoga is a beautiful town, but it has only 2% people of color. I might be bad at math, but that sounds like my brother and I. My life came with a blanket. I was known as Emma and Mark's daughter. The blanket provided security from a world of biases and bigotry, and that I grew up not knowing what was going on and the effects that faced it. The older I got, the more I started to notice. When teachers pulled me after class to ask if I could cover the cost of field trips, little did they know, my trips were always paid in full, and my parents always paid for someone who was unable. That was my first time being aware of microaggressions, and slowly I started to notice them, and the faster they started coming.
Growing up, I lived in Southlake, Texas with my mom, my dad, my brother Luke, and my sister Brianna. I had been raised knowing I'm adopted, so I never questioned it until I got a little older. I started asking myself, why would my mother give me to a different family? Or do I have any of my biological parents' features? I felt a sense of abandonment growing up. Even though my parents gave me unconditional love and support, I felt something was missing in my life. Around the age of 12, I started to wonder if I could get in touch with Sonia.
Over the summer, Libby decided to randomly text me photos. Let me be clear, they were out of nowhere. I opened them on my phone and was in shock. From the simple smile down to the non-existent height, Libby was taller than her mother. In this moment, I vicariously lived through her, meeting her mom and hearing the stories she later told me.
This past summer, when I turned 18, I decided to reach out to my biological mother. I started by finding her address and sending her a letter. I didn't know if she would respond or how she would feel, so I told myself I should give it a month or so.
but I soon got a text only a week later from Sophia. Very soon after our call, we met up in Colorado, where she is from. When we met up, I felt a rush of emotions. I was overwhelmed, excited, and confused. I asked her tons of questions, and we finally got to know one another. I'm happy to say I found what was missing in my life.
Suffield brought Libby and I together, one from a mom who flew to Texas knowing her baby would live a better life.
And one mom that we will never meet, but who brought her baby to a safe place in Ethiopia, knowing she would be cared for. Cal and I are very grateful to Suffield Academy for bringing us together and providing us the opportunity to share our story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Suffield. I'm Paige Hostetter, a four-year senior from Boston, Massachusetts.
And I'm Ardioli, a four-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut.
Our time at Suffield has been a unique and unforgettable experience. We're so grateful for the support of friends and teachers through our time here.
Paige and I talked over the years about our dads being here at Suffield at the same time. My dad graduated in 1990 and Paige's dad graduated in 1988. They both lived in Fuller Hall, and stories confirm it was just as, maybe even more crazy in the Fuller basement.
As Dan Hostetter once said in his senior quote, "What about those bagels, the unforgettable laughs and memories under that Jeep top?" Well, Nina and I can relate. Just this morning, we were enjoying a snack bar bagel sitting in Nina's Jeep. That's what's so fascinating about Suffield, is the strong sense of community to which people keep coming back. I grew up living in London and Hong Kong.
And I've grown up in Connecticut, but somehow our different paths still led us to end up in the same advisory in the same class of 2022. That's what makes Suffield so unique. Who would have thought we'd be here today giving this chapel speech together?
Someone who's had a monumental impact on our experience at Suffield has been Miss Mitchell, our advisor. She was the one who brought us together freshman year.
I still remember the first day of classes in 2018, right before convocation. We both walked into our office as the only new freshmen into an intimidating advisory group. Moments after feeling the welcoming aura of Miss Mitchell, we both knew she'd be a great mentor and support system as students here.
Every day since then, whenever I pass Memorial, I know to stop by her office and check in. The number of problems we face her with is terrifying, but I'm so grateful to know she'll always take the task head on.
Miss Mitchell, thank you for listening to us rant and cry throughout breakups and friendship mishaps. I know you'll be there to listen to us no matter what. So now we call ourselves Mary's Munchkins.
The best advisory at Suffield Academy.
In honor of being Mary's Munchkins, 4 lucky winners out there have a box of Munchkins under their chairs.
We'd like everyone to look under their seats. Yes, the Munchkin placement was random. We did not just happen to put them under our friends' seats.
Before we graduate, we want to tell our top 5 pieces of advice so others can have an amazing Suffield experience as we did. We want to make sure no one leaves here with regrets.
Number 1, be inclusive. Social groups are widespread around campus, but try something new. Find people that you usually wouldn't hang out with, and if you see someone lonely, make them feel included.
Join your clubs or sports teams. It's always great to try something new and make friends as you go. I played on 5 different athletic teams here at Suffield and made some unforgettable memories.
Number 3, don't be afraid to get involved. Everything on campus is more fun when we all participate in activities, especially on the weekends. So go to your friend's sports game, eat dinner outside, walk to the solar barn, or play spikeball on the turf with your friends.
Embrace the facilities like the counseling center and gym. They are vital to your mental and physical health. Keeping a healthy mindset here at Suffield will make the experience worthwhile.
And number 5, respect the senior corner. Soon enough, you'll have your own time there, and we'll also be telling the freshmen to find somewhere else.
We hope you all enjoyed our pieces of advice.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paige August, and I'm a 3-year senior from Canton, Connecticut. Music is a very big part of my life. Until 3 years ago, I had spent the years before singing and trying to be involved in any type of musical activity that I could, from being in the school choir to joining the school musicals. In December of 2018, my parents gifted me with a guitar, and from the moment I held it, something clicked, and my relationship with music changed. I attended a music school near my house named Downright Music and Arts, and this is where I eventually learned how to play the guitar and the bass as well. Well, at least the basics. My teachers helped me discover my voice, both in the studio and outside of it. I used to be a shy and socially anxious person at school, and there are times, even now, that I struggle with this, but music has always helped me to get out of my comfort zone, and has led me to meet some incredible people. As I continue to develop my playing and singing skills, I also learned to produce and transpose, and I even learned how to songwrite. Through my songs, I was able to express my emotions and share how I saw my future. It was a way of revealing my feelings, fears, and even my hopes. At the beginning, the words flowed effortlessly, but as time passed, it became harder and harder to write. I felt like I was writing the same thing over and over again. It was then that I experienced firsthand a concept that I had only heard about, but I never truly understood it. Writer's block. I've struggled with this for quite some time now, and while there are times when I can sit down and write a full song, there are many more when I can only really write a few sentences. So, in light of this, and as I was figuring out what to write about for my college essay, I thought there would be no better way to show a college admissions board something that wouldn't be able to see on my application. That was my take on the topic of writer's block. So, here is my college essay. I will forever be in awe of the people who can take their words and emotions and use them to create something beautiful. Something to almost free them and anyone who may listen. Music and songs have always drawn me in. Anytime I find myself conflicted or not being able to understand the intense emotions I may be caused to feel, I turn to music. Yet when I try to write a song as intense or emotional as I may be feeling, it never seems right. Either I cannot get through writing them or the lyrics end up becoming super cheesy. Yet I try over and over again. I most often find myself returning to the half-written song to continue or finally finish, so I can remind myself that with expression and emotion can come something beautiful and worth being proud of. But even if I get lucky and can produce something I want to share with the world, finding the emotions and motivation is one of my biggest struggles. This happens not only in songwriting, but with essays and deeper analysis, this hazy cloud that fills my head, best known to most as writer's block. When I get asked about my music or songwriting, my typical response is, I'm trying, but that writer's block is getting in the way. From this, I usually hear, just write through it, write about anything. But I don't want to write about just anything. I want to write something that changes not only my perspective, but everyone who listens. I want to write about something important. If I write, I want to truly believe that I created art. When we were younger, this is a time when most people develop their passions, whether it's fascinations with animals, reading, writing, etc. Yet mine came from a lullaby my mom used to sing to me. Triangle by Janie Grant was a simple song from the early 1960s that would help me to sleep most nights. When first hearing it, it sounds so simple and direct, yet this is what makes it so beautiful. Its simplicity is what gives room for so much interpretation and deep thought. It made songwriting look so easy and to the point. It was one of those songs to make anyone who heard it go, I could totally do that. As I attempted time and time again, I came to realize that it was not just as simple as some lyrics and a few strums of a guitar. Songs are your own stories and journeys. As I began to think harder about writing just anything, I came to the realization that I did not want my song to be a story that was told to death. I wanted it to be different, similar to how I do not want my journey in life to be like everyone else's. I want a journey I can be proud of, and when I look back, be able to see just how much I've grown. To know that I chose my life and never settled for it. And maybe one day soon, I'll find the right words to get me through. I would have loved to take this opportunity to show all of you the first song that I was able to produce and write on my own. However, because of the current circumstances, I am not able to. But I do have 2 songs out that I am both very proud of. One of them you actually can find on Spotify and Apple Music. The other, there is a music video to accompany it, so it is not on those platforms, but I will send a link to both of them in all school messages and post on my Instagram. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening.
short person stool, so I'll be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hailey Suller, and I'm a four-year senior from Granby, Connecticut. To begin, I would like to say some quick thank yous. I would first like to thank my parents and grandparents for always supporting me. I love you all so much, and I don't think I could have survived high school without any of you guys. I would also like to thank my teachers and advisors for dealing with my endless questions and extra help sessions. Thank you to my brother for always supporting me. I know we're not the closest, but I love you so much, and I'm proud of you. I would especially like to thank my twin sister, Caitlin, for dealing with me for 17 years. I know I'm a lot, but you've supported me in so many ways, even when you're busy being a soccer star. You will do amazing things in college, and I'm so grateful and proud to have such an amazing sister. And finally, my friends, thank you all so much for being there for me, and I hope I was able to do the same. I love you all so much. I would like to tell you all a quote, one that was told to me by my first ever Golden Coach 10 years ago, and which has sat with me for my entire life. No matter how many goals you save, people will always remember the one you miss. Think about that for a second. As a goalkeeper, the thought of that is extremely terrifying, but unfortunately, it is true. When I was younger, all I could think about was after a game is what I could have done differently. Could I have stepped out quicker? Could I have communicated with my team better? I was terrified that no one will remember that amazing save in the upper corner or that stroke I saved. But instead, we'll remember that one ball that was chipped over my head because at 5'1", I could not reach it. And trust me, I tried. But this instilled a sort of fear in me. I was scared about letting my team down, and I was scared that people would assume I am a bad goalkeeper just based on that one ball. I'm still scared about letting my team down to this day, and I don't think that fear will ever really go away. But what makes a goalkeeper is playing through that fear. That is the true reason why people think goalkeepers are crazy. Being a goalkeeper is about playing through that fear. While those 1v1 shots are terrifying, playing through the mental weight of our team is what makes us crazy. We dive head first, despite the fear and despite the danger. This applies to everyday life as well. Suffield Academy has a lot to offer with opportunities and personal growth, and if you don't take advantage of it, that is the one shot you could have saved. 2 or 3 years later down the road, when you graduate Suffield, don't leave here thinking you could have participated in the musical one time, or taken that class you've always wanted to take. Be a goalkeeper. Be crazy and dive headfirst into the danger, despite your fears, because if you do, you won't regret it. Thank you.